if you take engine away from a car, for any automobile or any machine, if you take the engine away, you have taken away the life of that engine. Of that automobile. Without engine, automobile cannot be mobile. What makes automobile to be mobile is the engine thereof. So is covenant. Obedience, covenant without obedience is not covenant. It's either a promise or a deal. Covenant without obedience is not a covenant. It's either a promise or a deal. By the special grace of God, after getting through with this teaching of covenant, this teaching of secret of covenant, which I may not be able to tell you the episode it will end. After ending it, we'll be coming back to the concept of covenant. So when we get to the concept of covenant, I'll be telling you more about the difference between the promise and covenant. So the backbone of the covenant is obedience. The secret of covenant, that secret, one of the secrets of covenant is obedience. The life of covenant is obedience. Without obedience, there is no covenant. So here in this episode, I will be talking about obedience, the secret of covenant. I want to start with the Bible reference with the book of Deuteronomy chapter 28. Deuteronomy chapter 28. Let's see verse 1 first. Deuteronomy chapter 28 verse 1. And it shall come to pass, if thou shalt hearken diligently to the voice of the Lord thy God, to observe and to do all his commandments, which are commanded this day, that the Lord thy God will set thee on high above all nations of the world. The blessings of covenant, or the blessing of covenant, is being set high above all nations of covenant. You know, I told you that in covenant, there will be combination of both condition and blessing. Condition is what to do, and blessing is what to enjoy. So what to enjoy here is God, the Lord thy God, will set thee on high above all nations of the world. That is the blessing of covenant. But before that, he said obedience. All these statements simply means obedience. And it shall come to pass, if thou shalt hearken diligently. By the grace of God, I'm going to break this one down in the coming episode. I will take it one after the other in the coming episode. Let me just still paraphrase it now because of our time in this period. And it shall come to pass, if thou shalt hearken diligently to the voice of the Lord thy God, to observe to do all his commandments, all, take note, all his commandments, which I have commanded thee this day. So that is the obedience. So without this obedience, you cannot enjoy being set high above. Let's see another version of the Bible, amplified. If you listen diligently to the voice of the Lord your God, being watchful. That is, the word watchful means you have to be vigilant. He said, being watchful to do all his commandments, which I've command you this day. The Lord your God will set you high above all nations of the world. So the Amplified says you have to be watchful to obey. It's not what you do when it is convenient. No. Obedience is not what you do when it is convenient for you. You don't do it as convenient. You watchfully, deliberately, diligently do it. That is what we call obedience in covenant. So the problem we have today is that obedience is where we have a problem. Whenever we receive word like this about covenant, yeah, we are touched in our heart, we are pricked in our heart to do it. But when it comes to practice aspect of it, to do it, that is where we have problem. Obedience is the secret, one of the secrets of covenant. Let's see another version. New King James Version says, "Now it shall come to pass, if you diligently obey the voice of the Lord your God, to observe carefully all his commandments which I command it today." Today. The Lord your God will set thee high above all nations of the earth. Today. Here said this day. Here says today. That means it's not what you postpone. You don't procrastinate it. You do it deliberately, then you see the result. Obedience is the backbone of covenant. So without obedience, there is no covenant. So what makes covenant? And one of the things that make covenant is obedience. Let's see the negative aspect of it, the other side of it, in verse 15. Verse 15. But it shall come to pass, if thou wilt not. Can you see? That's the negative. The other one say, if thou wilt do. Here say, if thou wilt not hearken to the voice of the Lord your God, to observe to do all his commandments and his statutes, which I command thee this day. Can you see the negative now? All these curses shall come upon thee and overtake thee. All these blessings in the positive side, in verse 1, will follow thee and overtake thee. All these curses in this positive, negative side will overtake thee and take control of your life in the negative aspect. It is the causes that is affecting your life now. Why? Because you prove to be smart before God. Because you are a choir in the church, you are an evangelist, you are even teaching Sunday school or Bible study. Because of that, you believe you are in covenant. No. Covenant is not about title. Covenant is about mystery. And when you are ready to fulfill the mystery, the Lord fulfills his own. So, all these causes. So, when cause come, then it will reflect around you. People around you will know that you are under cause. What is happening to you now is a result of not cause of man, but cause of God. When man causes, it takes only God to remove it. What about when God causes? Who will remove it? It is only God. Let's see another version. But if you will not obey the voice of the Lord your God, being watchful, remember the word watchful again? To do all the commandments and his statutes, which I commanded this day, then all these curses shall come upon thee and upon you and overtake you. Then NKJV, which is New King James Version, says, but it shall come to pass, if you will not obey the voice of the Lord your God, to observe carefully. I am using this KJV because of the word carefully. King James Version does not mention carefully, but New King James Version says carefully. That means something you deliberately do, you consciously do it. You deliberately do it, you consciously do it. It's like somebody holding the egg in his hand. It's among multitude. You will carefully carry or hold the egg because you know quite all right when anything falls, it can still be picked up. But when egg fall, well, that's the end. So when you see covenant, obedience as something holding like an egg, then you be carefully observe to do it. So it is the area of covenant. That is why we have problem. That is why some of us we say we try. You try, but you have not done it well, because you cannot do it well and not get the right result. Let me quickly have a break. I will come back again in a moment.